So 20 years of marriage. Now, if you went back and thought about living together before we got married, like let's say like instead of getting married, we said, hey, let's just live with each other and see how it goes. How does that go? Speculate.
Sure. We had been married for about 6 months.
Sure.
And I saw the pastor who married us.
Yes.
And he's like, so did premarital counseling with me prepare you enough? I said, no, absolutely not. I think we should have just moved in together because that would have prepared me more. And he looked me dead in the eye and he said, no, Erica, that is not the way.
Because you are the best thing that's ever happened to me.
And
Why isn't it the way? Why isn't it the way? People, like we have a niece who is, on the pathway to marriage.
Yeah,
And one of the things that her and her fiance said, well, mainly her fiance was just like, well, I feel like the next step should be we should move in with each other before we get married. And we were like, that's
not happening.
But why?
But
why
she also didn't want that.
Right.
Yeah.
But why is that not the way?
Well, let me just tell you, had we moved in together before we got married, I would have been sayonara pretty quickly. Because I would be just like this world that's pretend that at any moment the door is revolving so I can just exit if I want to. Right? And I don't know, maybe call it old school to think that you should get married before you move together.
Right.
But I think there's something about if I'm living with you, that means I'm sleeping with you. And if I'm sleeping with you, and we've built this life together, I'm giving you everything without the ring. Now, I don't have a ring on my finger because I have fat fingers. But
I see every day your commitment to the covenant. So
ring
or no ring, you're committed. I've seen it.
I guess that's my thing is like we generally don't recommend it. It's if you do it, you do it, right?
Yeah.
And it's not to say that, I did hear this statistic that I should probably find as I'm quoting it, but it was like couples, there's a higher percent of couples who move in together before marriage that end up splitting up or divorced. And it's not to say everyone,
right?
But I just think that what is the saying like, what am I trying to think of? Like, why buy the fruit when you got the whole basket?
Oh, no, you're talking about, like, why buy the cow when you get the milk for free?
Yeah. Why?
Yeah. You're doing all the things without having the most important component. That's what it is for me. It's like you have a covenant that you get to make before God and man that is the best covenant. Like you're basically saying, I'm committed to this best possible relationship that I can ever have on this earth. It's there. Mm-hmm. But I maybe want to test things out first before I really commit to this best possible relationship. It's like, why don't you just commit to the best possible relationship that you can have on this earth? Just commit to it.
Yeah.
And then do all the pieces that follow from there. That's what our advice was to our niece and her fiance was like, if there's no commitment there or covenant there, you're really approaching this thing from the wrong perspective. Like, first and foremost, you have a duty before God and man to just.
Well, what if you don't believe in God?
Well, do what you want. What does it matter? What does it matter then?
What does it matter? Well, and I think
what is a marriage vow then? I mean, it's just a government contract, which is why people probably look at it and say, what does it even matter?
It's just
a piece of paper.
But you know what? That's crazy because how many pieces of paper do we sign? How many contracts to get a job? Or even I have clients who have to sign contracts for me to show up to take their photos for photography, right? But they sign those pieces of papers, right? So I'm not sure why people look at marriage as just a piece of paper. But
you know what it's like? You remember when we took our family to Disney World?
Yes.
And when you're kind of like walking in and you think you're there, like the kids are like, they're looking at all the things like on the way in, and you're like, oh my goodness, this is great. You're like, you haven't even got to the park yet, man. You're not even there. You're just at like where you get on the trains.
Yes.
You still got so much further. And you know what? When you get there, it's even better.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and you got, so if you chose, so it's like if you chose, choosing to live with one another prior, it's like you're making the stop too early. Like there's a magical kingdom there that you can go and experience, but you're just like, oh my goodness, look at all the fun things here in this little bus terminal, whatever. They're like, all the kids are like, oh my word, we're here. Yeah. No, you're not here, son.
Yeah. You have not arrived.
You've not arrived. And so I think that's where I think if we had moved in together, I don't think you would have stuck around.
No. I can tell you, I'm just thinking about the messes.
You're like, this man's too much work. I can leave and nothing will impact me. We can just and call it. But you get further down the road and you're like, wow, look at the meaningful life that we've built.
Yeah.
Because we committed on the front end.
No, you are my best friend, so I don't know if I would have left. Things. I think we would have worked through it, but I definitely think we would have had a harder time.
We probably would have not gotten married soon because it's like, what's the point? Why go through all the work and all the hassle when we're basically doing it? We're being married anyway.
That's true.
You'd be like, why?
Yeah.
What's the purpose? Which is what you see a lot with couples too. Like
they
move in and they're like, why
we've been together for 10 years.
And
we've
then
got
they
common
have a
law.
kid and they're like, okay, we should probably do it now because make it official.
Yeah.
Or what have you.
Because we want our kid to see a good example. But then why don't you just start off that way?
Everything's different.
Yeah.
And it's people have different routes that they take. God is good. He can use all these things to create the best relationship ever. I think it's just laid out clearly that you get married and then you take the next step.
Because it's God's design for the family. I guess that's what you have to go back to, is if you believe in God's design for the family. Because if you don't believe in God's design for the family, then moving in or having a child it doesn't matter. You do what the world is doing and
have the consequences.
And have the consequences. But I think if you are saying I'm a believer and I believe in God's design of the family unit, which if we're looking at the model, there was Adam and then there was Eve and then there were the children, right? I think that's important. I also think there's something about like, even if it's just a piece of paper to you, I think there's something about saying it's important to me to communicate that I'm entering into something sacred. Like I'm aware of it. I'm not playing house with you.
Right.
I'm not just shacking up with you. I'm not just trying to make it easier so we can, get a nice house and picket fence and share a mortgage. Like I'm going to be your person and you're going to be my person and we're going to build this life together no matter what. And we're going to have beautiful children together.
Yeah.
And we're going to do it in order because marriage is actually I don't know if a system of order. Like when it is in chaos and disorder, it has horrific consequences for everybody. Right. But when you do things that are out of love and sacrifice in an orderly way in a relationship, it's so beautiful. Like since having the cancer diagnosis, I mean, I already thought marriage was beautiful, but I'm like, you could have run at any time. Doesn't mean you would have if we were just living together or if you were my boyfriend, but I think it would have been more tempting to just be like, I'm not.
I remember being tempted.
Wait, what? Wait, like recently?
No, like when we were doing the whole cancer thing. Oh my word.
That's recent.
That was recent. Yeah, recently. I remember.
It's news to me.
I remember you were you were in the red devil treatment and you were just so sick and you couldn't do anything. You could just basically, you had gone to the ER like 3 or 4 times in response to that. And then we had the our 2 nephews were living with us. We had our 4 plus 2 trauma-filled nephews, a 5-year-old and a 2-year-old. And the house was a mess. And I felt like all I did was wake up and care for other people all day long. And I had this moment of like, oh, this is why some husbands just leave and go get some milk and they don't come back. Because
this is great. You should watch.
Because life in that moment was so hard that I was like, oh, I actually empathize with the person who is like, I'm in the place where life feels so overwhelmingly hard that I just have to get out of here. And that's how I felt like. And I was like, this is so much. And then I looked, then I said, boy, stop being a sissy. You made a commitment. You asked for this. So you see it through, doggone it.
Get yourself a pep talk straight up.
I just said, stop being a sissy boy. Man up.
Did you use those words, sissy boy?
I said, you asked for it. I specifically remember me saying, like, you asked for this. So you're like, I think I said, you signed up for this.
Can I just say something?
And there you go.
Well,
sign up for it.
Sign up for it.
Sign up for it. Like,
that's
just do it.
Funny because I would never imagine you just running off.
It was like it was a brief moment.
I get it. I have those moments too. but
I remember one time. This was when we have our 2 nephews with us. And they were just, one of them was having just a meltdown in the back of the car. And I was like, dude, I got like, because he was like angry, screaming,
Eric is
fighting.
The yeller, if you can't tell.
And then I just took a deep breath and I walked away from the car, and you were walking to the car. And you looked at me, you said, "Are you okay?" I said, I just need a flippin' moment right now. I didn't say flippin'. I totally cussed because I was so like, like the Incredible Hulk coming out. And it was just like, oh my word. It's felt like that's what the last year's been. But you go take your moment and then you just work through it because you got a family. You have a wife who needs you. You have a family that needs to be cared for, and you stick there for them because you signed up for it. You said in front of God and man that you're gonna be there to see this thing through to the end.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you're still here.
Yeah.
I don't know what I would have done if I had. Well, this is funny because I guess they should reference.
Remember what it was? That was Christmas Eve. It's all coming back to me now. It was Christmas Eve because we were loading up the kids to go to Christmas Eve.
Yes.
And it was like chaos. It just felt like chaos. Going back to what you said, like when you're in that chaos, it's so hard to find order in your life to make things make sense. Which is why I think to go back to the ultimate thing is like, don't invite chaos in by doing things out of order. Because sometimes, we invited some chaos in by saying we're going to care for our 2 nephews because some circumstances came up where they can't be in their home. So we're going to care for these kids. But we kept going back to God said, care for the widows and the orphans in their affliction, and he will bless this and he will honor this. But that was also inviting some chaos.
And a little chaos is okay. I think, to go back to the beginning of this, when our niece's fiance said that, he was getting worldly wisdom. That was saying, hey, don't marry right away. Don't marry young. Live together first so you can see if that's what you want. And after a couple of years or months, even if that's not what you want, you can get out of there. And it's not messy. It doesn't cost you anything. Right. You can just pack a bag and go.
Right.
And that's not how everyone enters the intent. But I think there is something to saying no.
And it does feel logical.
It's very logical. It's so think about. I mean,
it feels
think
logical.
about how many people get divorced and how much money they have to spend to get out of these relationships.
But I think at the root of it is just like you see throughout. If you view marriage as a human-made thing, then you would follow that logic through. But if you're seeing it as what it truly is, like there were husbands and Adam and Eve. Eve didn't even get a name until after the first sin. It was the husband and wife. Her name was wife. He says, "This is your wife. This is a covenant that God made in the Garden of Eden when it was perfect." It's not like we need marriage as a result of sin. Even like marriage was in the Garden of Eden. It's completely ordained by God, and you see so many times where God's asking you to do things outside of the logical realm. Like when he asks you to sacrifice something, he doesn't say sacrifice your last fruits. He says sacrifice your first fruits, right? To say, I'm going to give this to God, trusting that his provision, like it's from his hand that we receive, not I'm going to give my last fruits that says, okay, I need to make sure I have everything and then I'll give God the rest. And so it's in a similar vein, like you're flipping that on its head and saying, I'm committing myself to this person. And there's so much unknown there. But if we're both committed to God and committed to this covenant, we can see through anything, right? And we're doing it in the proper order, not some man-made logical order. We're doing this in God's order to say, I'm going to commit myself, husband and wife. Then we're going to consummate the marriage with the physical act, right? In the confines of marriage. And from there, the order all follows.
First comes love, then
That's
comes
right.
marriage, then the baby carriage. Some people get a dog in between.
But the flipping it on its head is, the man's perspective is first, do the physical act, then live it with each other to make sure that it can work as friends, which is like so bizarre. Like you're sharing an even more intimate piece of your life that you in terms of the physical, like if you're gonna go and do the physical have sex, and then see if they can work as a friend. And see if you can work in that realm. And then maybe you get have marriage. And then what we're saying is, no, be friends first, then get married, then
build your family.
Physical act.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And then as a consummating the marriage. And now that's the proper order to avoid any unnecessary chaos.
You know how I know people believe in proper order, even the people who don't believe in God or follow God, is because how many times we own an event space, and we will often see people who live together, who then get pregnant, and before baby comes, they want to be married.
Yeah.
So that tells me that you still think in your heart there is a proper order, even when you skip the order.
Yeah.
And I guess in that...
And you want it for your kids.
And you want it for your kids.
And you're willing to do it for your kids, but you're not willing to do it for yourself.
So why is that? Why do we love our children more than we love ourselves?
Isn't that funny?
That is interesting.
And that's universal. And that's why, even the Bible describes it as it's the father's love for his kids, right? Where we're children of God, because we can all relate to that. Yeah. There's so many things that we'll do for our kids that we won't do for ourselves. And that's the same love that God shows us. But if you live according to God's word, you will not just do this for your kids. Yeah. You will do it because it honors the Lord.
And I think, it honors your significant other. And I think I do want to say, our niece's fiance respected that, right? Like, it was, okay, I love you and I care for you enough that that's not what you want. And you're honoring that that's not what your upbringing and what your parents are encouraging us to do. Mind you, they're adults. Could she just go and do it? Yes. Would we still love her? Yes. Sure. Right? So, but we are thankful that she's honoring that, and that he's also honoring that. And I think there's also this piece that's like, if you have a significant other who is saying, yeah, I just want to wait on this, or this isn't how I was raised, or this isn't the order, this is a moment where you can just die to yourself.
Yeah.
And put on hold what you want for a short amount of time. And some people will say, oh, well, we can't afford the wedding right now and we just want to move on with life. Go elope. Yeah. COVID has made weddings so different now.
Yeah.
Have a small elopement. Come to our venue. Absolutely. We'll give you a discount. Go to the courthouse. Get your...
Like and subscribe and we'll give you a discount. Like, comment, subscribe, we got you.
Go get your, go find the friend's house who has a beautiful backyard and get your closest people and then do the big celebration later. There's going to be a million excuses of why you want to do things out of order. But I think there's something so beautiful in first comes love, then comes marriage, then comes the baby carriage. And that's whether you believe in God or not.
Yep.
Just do it in order. And I think you'll be a lot happier.
You will be blessed.
Yeah. Be blessed.
I know on fire 'cause you kept me every time I mess it up. And everybody says that things are bound to change, but I hope they stay the same 'cause you are the best thing that's ever happened to me.